You're going to want to write down the things I share. We're going to go through a lot of points. Raise your hand if you need help getting your workbook. You should be seeing that in the chat right now. You can download it, or you can just look through it, scroll through it as we go. And then we're going to get started. So let's see here. All right, I think we're good. I'm going to get my slides ready. So make sure you write down what we just talked about, your main goal in the garden. And that is what we want to head toward. So I'm going to pull this up. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry. All right, going backwards here in my slides. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry, a little delay here. Okay, so we are going to talk about 3 mistakes that you can make in the garden that I have definitely made. If you guys have a mistake that you have already made, tell me about it in the chat. Is there, I love this. Deidre says, I'm here, but is there a replay? Because I'm watching while I'm milking my goats. Are you for real? Like, is that for real what you just said? Because if so, that's amazing. All right, over fertilizing seedlings. My mistake is not starting yet. Love that, Danielle. Not a mistake. You're here now. Forgetting what I planted. Oh my goodness, I've done that. Overwatering. Haven't started. Timing. Having no idea what I'm doing. Absolutely. That's how I started too. Being in a hurry. Oh, I love that, Debbie. Starting too early. Planting all my seeds at one time. Not yet. Giving plants like 3 feet of room on each side. Haha. Okay, I can relate to you there. Planting all my seeds at one time, a backyard full of weeds, labeling seeds and seedlings, hardening off plants. Oh my goodness, we have made a lot of mistakes already, right? Well, I am right there with you. I've made so many mistakes, and that's why I'm excited for this class, because we're going to just say no more mistakes. You can just put that in the chat. No more mistakes for us. That's right, because we now know exactly, you're about to know at least exactly how to do it. Like, what are the most important mistakes to avoid? So, so today's class is 3 mistakes to avoid in your kitchen garden. And are y'all ready? Tell me in the chat if you are ready. Monica and Liz are going to be watching for our best gardeners in the chat. You don't have to be the best gardener, but you have to be the most excited to pass along to y'all some sets of our plant tags. All right, so 3 mistakes to avoid in the garden. Let's get going. If you stay until the end, I'm going to tell you how to get my kitchen garden styles course. So this is a course where I walk you through over 40 of the kitchen gardens that my company has installed in Houston, Texas. So if you're looking for beautiful garden inspiration, if you want to step inside some of the gardens I've created and see all the nitty gritty, then you're going to love this course. And I'm going to tell you more about it at the end of today's class. Now, let me just tell you, I have no credentials. All right. You can just put it in the chat right now. She has no credentials. I'm just going to go ahead and call myself out before you guys do. Okay. So you can put that in the chat. This girl has no credentials. I am a self-taught gardener. I do not have a background in horticulture. I don't have, I didn't grow up on a farm. I grew up in the city. The only yard work I did growing up was mowing the yard for my dad. I didn't even get to mow the yard. My older sister did. So I had to sweep the sidewalk, you guys. Okay. So I didn't even know how to mow the yard. I just knew how to sweep the grass up on the sidewalk. This was before blowers. That's how old I am. Okay. So I have no, actually either that or my dad was cheap. I don't know. But I have no credentials in the garden. I am just someone who absolutely loves the garden. And I fell in love with it by making loads of mistakes, loads and loads and loads of mistakes. So if you're looking for someone, who's got a PhD in horticulture, that's my grandfather. That's not me. Okay. So that's not me, but what has happened over the last 11 years, actually even more than that now, is I've just been in love with the plants. I cannot get enough. And I just do a ton of experimenting. So the benefit of me experimenting is that you don't have to. All right. So you can put that in the chat. No experiments needed. All right. So I did all the experimenting and now you can just have all the fun. All right. I have made tons of mistakes and now I'm going to share with you how I've learned from those mistakes. So this was my first garden. Are you guys impressed right here? Like this is my husband, my oldest daughter. She's now 16. That tells you how long ago this photo was taken. I didn't even have a good camera at this point, much less a good garden. So this was our first garden. And it was kind of depressing. It was fun. We learned a lot, but we did not have a lot of success. Now, fast forward about 6 years, and this was our 2017 garden. So I don't know about you guys, but I like this one better. Do y'all? A little bit? So tell me what changes you see in the chat. What are the main things you see that are different from my beginner garden to my 6 years later? Raised beds, that's right. Trellises, organized, a clear plan, pebble paths, that's right. Much more organized, walkways, exactly. So full of plants, exactly. Y'all see how much straw I have in that first garden? I mean, what was I thinking? It was like a straw garden, not a plant garden. You know what I mean? So we got rid of that straw garden. We were just trying, I'll tell you why we had straw in just a second. All right, so for our first mistake, I'm going to ask you a question first. What would you build here? So a lot of us, when we're starting our garden, we have a blank slate, right? So do you see all this grass? You may not have this much space, but a bunch of our Kitchen Garden Academy students, they recently sent in their transformations for a contest. I'm going to be sharing photos of their kitchen gardens with you today. So what would you put in this space? This is a big question we all face when we're trying to figure out where to put our garden and what to do with it. Well, I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake that I've made, that I've seen most people make when they're building their garden. All right. The first step the first mistake happens right at the outset when you start to build your garden. Can you guess what mistake happens when people first build their garden? You guys tell me first. Y'all might already know this. Not enough sun, not the right dimensions, not enough soil, not big enough. They skip the steps, too far from the house, rushing the process. Don't pay attention to sun areas. Don't do too much too quickly. Wrong location. I love it. Well, let me tell y'all something. Somebody hit it on the nose, but all of you guys are right. You're all correct. And that is because the biggest mistake that I made, that most people make, is we rush the setup. We rush it. Anybody here done that? You may or may not have seen the video I made at Home Depot a couple of weeks ago. But the reason why I made that video is I was there running some errands with my daughter. And y'all, you could feel the urgency in the air, the land grab that was happening at Home Depot. Okay. People were like, it was like a sunny day. It was warm. You know, it was like, it felt like spring. And it was like everyone had this sudden need, like, oh my goodness, I have got to go to the store right now and buy some stuff and build my garden. Anybody else done that? So that's why I made that video. Like, everybody calm down. Okay. It's a long season. So my dad used to teach me this. I loved buying lots of stuff when I was little. I loved to buy stuff. And my sister liked to buy stuff too, but she would buy nice stuff. So she would buy less. And I loved to buy a lot of stuff. So I would buy cheap stuff. And my dad kept teaching me this principle and I kept forgetting it, but he would say this thing. Have y'all ever heard it? He would say the cheap pay twice. Have you ever heard that? So basically, like, I'd buy these things, you know, and then they'd break, they'd shrink in the wash, you know, especially I loved buying clothes, like cheap clothes. And my sister, she had this closet full of clothes by the end of her growing up years, because she always bought nice stuff and she just kept accumulating a few nice things every season, so that by the time she graduated, she had this closet full of really nice stuff. And I had a trash bag of stuff I was going to bring to Goodwill. You know what I mean? Like, I had nothing to show for all my purchases because I bought them all in a rush. Okay. And so the garden is the same way. All right. Setting up your garden. Cheap pay twice, but the rushed person, the rushed gardener pays for years and years and years, right? So it's not that we necessarily pay twice. It's that we have to deal with the rush setup for all the seasons to come. So what you're seeing in this photo, we rushed the process. All right. It was July. We had missed the season, I thought. And so I called my husband and we just quickly put a garden together. We did no research. We didn't learn from anybody. We just did what our impulses told us to do. And everything that we did was wrong. And so for the rest of the year and the next year, we paid heavily for that mistake. Okay. All of our seeds washed down this hill. It was on a slope. So we lost our seeds down the hill. None of our plants thrived. Our garden dried out. We had pests, we had disease, and we had very little to grow from the space because we rushed the setup. All right. So don't rush the setup. Raise your hand if you haven't started your garden yet. If you are here and you have not started your garden yet, congratulations. You just got the best warning of your life, okay? Don't do anything fast, okay? Slow this part down. This is the most important part and you don't want to rush it, okay? All right, so rushing forgets your priorities. Priorities in the garden are so important to remember because we're all gardening for different reasons. You might be gardening for production. You might be gardening just to have a beautiful place to go out to and enjoy. You might be gardening to have a spot to learn with your preschooler. You might be gardening to grow a lot of greens. You are going to have different priorities than me and than all the other people at this class. And so if you rush, you forget your priorities and we don't want to do that, right? So let's not forget our priorities and rush. The other thing rushing does is it makes us forget our plan. So at some point, maybe way back in January, maybe last year, you had like a little sketch or you had a mood board or a vision board on Pinterest, right? And you were like, this is my plan. I want to have an arched trellis and I want to have this and that. And then you feel rushed, you run to Lowe's or Home Depot, you buy a bunch of stuff and you're like, oh, I totally forgot that I wanted to, have this actually set up in a proper way, right? Rushing also forgets your budget. This is a big one. All right. So when my sister and I would go shopping for clothes, my dad would give us a little allowance, each season. So it's like, Nicole, you get this much. Joanna, you get this much too. We got the same amount of money. Okay. So we had the same amount of money, but she would spend hers on like 2 things and I would spend mine on like 20 things. Okay. Y'all see, I thought I was smarter, right? I was getting wide variety. Okay. So I would spend my money on 20 things. She would spend her money on 2 things. And then I told you how this ended up, right? She ended up with a closet full after years and years of accumulating of nice stuff. And I ended up with big bags of stuff that was going to the trash, okay, or to donation or something. And so we might think when we're rushing that we're making good choices because we're buying stuff on sale. We're buying stuff that's just right here at the checkout line, right? But what's happening is we're actually wasting our budget, right? Whatever our budget is, whether it's small or big, we all start with some limitation financially. And if you end up spending it on those rush decisions, there's nothing left to spend it on the important stuff, right? So this was my whole Home Depot video was like, don't buy a pot for $20 that's got 4 beans in it, right? You'd be better to spend that $20 on some really nice soil, right? Or some really nice seeds, or even just a really nice box rather than a $20 pot of beans. So don't waste your money. Everybody put that on your, in the chat. Rushing wastes money. Okay. We are not going to waste our money anymore. Our money needs to go to very important things, right? Like our garden goals. Okay. So this is what a rushed garden setup looks like. You guys, have seen this already. This is what happened when we rushed the process. And then this is what gardenary setup gardening looks like. So you guys already noticed the difference. There's raised beds, there's trellises. One of the main things I saw you guys say is there's organization. And that's what happens when you slow it down. So if you feel rushed, everybody take a deep breath. Okay. Everybody take a deep breath. You feel it? Yes. There's no rush. All right. We're going to be gardening for the rest of our lives. We have many, many seasons to come. And if we rush it this year, we will pay for many years to come. So we want to take care of our future seasons by doing the setup slow and right this time. Got it? So I like to say, I learned this in life coaching. You know, you always want to be taking care of your future self, right? So like, I'll tell this to Jason in the mornings or at night. I'm like, I'm setting up the coffee pot tonight for my future self, right? My morning self. She's going to thank me that I set the coffee pot up. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Taking care of your future self. That's like, I'm not going to eat a cupcake right now because my, next year's body will be thankful that I skipped it. You can eat the cupcake though. Don't worry about that. But we want to take care of our future selves in the garden. Think about your future self. She is not going to be happy if you did like a rush, cheap setup. All right. Future self did not like this setup for Nicole. Okay. All right. So that's mistake number one. Do not rush the setup. Monique is one of our Kitchen Garden Academy members, and she said she didn't rush the setup, right? Look at this. It's so beautiful. It gave me the tools to understand how to create a garden from the ground up that's practical, productive, and pretty. Leona said, I think Leona's here today. Welcome, Leona. As Nicole stated, 90% of the work is preparation. I live in Michigan and my plants are just beginning to pop out of the rich 103% soil. This program saves you time because you've done it the right way from the start. That's it. So don't rush the setup, okay? This is Lori. I love what she created inside of Kitchen Garden Academy. She said, learning her techniques makes gardening easier, more fun, and more successful with all of the material in one easy to access place. All right, this is from Sarah. Look at her puppy. I've never seen a puppy turn into a garden before, but look, it goes from puppy to raised beds to full gardens. Pretty amazing. I don't know how that puppy did that, but I need to learn from Sarah. Forget searching the web for hours. Kitchen Garden Academy puts all the answers at your fingertips. Now I have a kitchen garden to share with my family that will hold up to the elements for years to come. Did you read that? Hold up to the elements for years to come. Future self. Do you see that? Sarah was thinking about her future self when she did her kitchen garden, and you guys are too. So I like to say, do the worst first. This sounds painful, all right? But you're going to do the workout first. You're going to slow down the process of the setup. Do it right the first time. And y'all can put this in the chat, worst first. If you do the worst first, you will not have to pay for it anymore. I like to say, if you do the worst first, you will never work in the garden again. Isn't that cool to think about? So if you do all the work at the beginning, do the work to set it up right the first time, then you'll never have to work again. Now, I did a lot of work to get my garden set up, but now that it's set up, it's not work. It's fun. Yes, eat the frog, Gail. That is it. Love it. All right, mistake number 2 is about planting. Tell me in the chat what mistake you think I'm going to say is the most common one for planting. You guys might be able to guess. What do you think? What would I say is the number one problem people make when it comes to planting? Too early, separate, not planting enough, too close, planting too soon, not enough, overcrowding, too early. I love it. So some of you guys, y'all been here for a while. You know me, okay? I am going to say, well, first we'll ask you, what would you plant here? So how many plants would you think I would put into this bed, or what would you put into this bed? This is 16 square feet, a 4x4 bed. So what would you plant into this kitchen garden? This is our gardenary 4x4. 12 plants, 4 plants, 200, 20, 40, 10, lettuce, garlic, tomatoes, no idea. 12 plants, 20 plants, I have no idea. 15 to 20 plants, something to grow up. Yes, 32, 24. All right, depends on the plants. I love it, Jennifer. All right, so my main mistake I see people make is they plant too little, too little, okay? So that's the biggest problem. Most of you guys, if you haven't had success yet, if you've been gardening for a while and you haven't had success yet, it's not because you haven't done it right. It's that you haven't done it enough. And you don't just need to plant more, you need to plant more right now. Don't wait. Okay. Let me show you what I mean. Planting too little is so boring. Okay. Have you ever been out to the garden and you only had one kind of plant growing and you watched it? So like for day 1, day 2, day 3, you were very excited, but by like day 10 or 15, it's kind of boring out there. So you're not going to go out there. You know what I'm saying? Because nothing's really changed that much. It's just one kind of plant. You just got 5 of them. So, and then you go day 20, day 30, day 40, and you're like, shoot, it died. My plants all died because I didn't take care of them because they were boring. Anybody? Yes, it's boring. What is the surefire way to fail at gardening? Do you guys know? What's the only way you're actually going to fail at gardening? What do you think? Quit. Debbie, A++. That's right, giving up. And what makes you quit? What would make you quit? When it's boring, right? Have you ever started a Netflix show or started a book and you never finished it? Why did you not finish it? Because it was boring, right? When you pick up a book and it's a page turner, you're going to read it, right? Because it's so exciting. You want to know what's happening. Well, the way to be sure that your garden is not boring and is a page turner is you need a lot of stuff out there, right? You need a lot of things going on out there to want to go take care of it. All right. So no more boring gardens. All right. You can put that in the chat. No more boring gardens. Planting too little is also not productive. Plants, if you're only growing one kind of plant, especially if you're growing a kind of plant that is a fruiting plant like a tomato or cucumber, you're not going to be getting a lot from that garden for a long time. So you're going to be like waiting and waiting and waiting to have something to pick. And we grow these gardens to pick from these gardens, right? So it's like not the point. You know what I'm saying? So just say that planting too little is not productive. And then here is one that might surprise you, okay? Planting too little is hard on your plants. Planting too little is hard on your plants. Can you believe that? What do you think? Believable? All right, let me tell you why. Jennifer's like, it is? I know, let me tell you. Okay, before I told you guys I'm a self-taught gardener, right? So I was just starting to garden. I'd been gardening about 3 or 4 years. And in 2015, right before I started my business, my husband and I and our family, we went to Big Bend National Park. Have y'all heard about it? Big Bend National Park. It is so beautiful. It's a very rarely visited national park. And it's out there. Let me tell you, you have no Wi-Fi signal for hours. Okay. So I was looking at all the plants, right? I was very aware of plants, and we were in the desert for a lot of parts when we were taking walks and hikes with our kids. We were like just getting outside almost every single day and going on these really long hikes. So we're out there in the desert, right? We're hiking, and y'all aren't going to believe what I saw in that desert. Do you want to know? You want to know? I saw plants. Plants were thriving in the desert. Okay. Now, when I saw these plants, with the exception maybe of 1 or 2 very, very big cacti, however you say it, with the exception of that, all the plants that were thriving, they were all tightly together. There was no plant that was standing all by itself. Every plant was in a group with a lot of other plants, and they were all just like hanging out together. Small plants, big plants, little plants, medium-sized plants, all together. And y'all, get this, you ready? No one was taking care of them. No one was taking care of those plants except for nature. You got it? So it was like an aha moment for me. I went back home and I started putting more and more and more plants into my garden. I was like, if the plants know what to do, right? And they're doing this in the desert, I'm going to go do that in my garden. And y'all, as soon as I did that, everything changed. All right, so planting too little is hard on your plants. This is what traditional gardening looks like, okay? This was my first garden. Y'all saw this little raised bed right next to it. Has anybody done this? Raise your hand. If you've ever put like 5 tomato cages and tomatoes in them. Yes, that was me, okay? So this is traditional gardening. This is, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We might have one more in the back. I don't know, maybe 6 tomatoes in one bed, all right? This is what I started with. Now, this is what gardenary garden planting looks like. All right, what do y'all think? Does it look different? Do you like it better? Just a little bit better, right? So I went from about 6 plants, and then you guys can put in the chat how many more plants you think are in here. So did these plants look like they're not very healthy? Do they look like they're not doing very well together here? No. Do you think that they look like they're not very productive? No, they look a lot more productive, right? And then do you think that this is boring here? Which one is more boring, this one or this one? Way more interesting, right? So this is from Tiffany. She says, I went from not knowing anything about gardening to building and growing my first garden. I grew plants, read this, I grew plants on the first try and was so proud of my accomplishments. It felt really empowering to be able to do what I have done. I'm really happy I invested in Kitchen Garden Academy. Look at all her plants in that bed on her first try. Look at this one. Look at Alice's bed. I learned the simple secrets of creating a plentiful kitchen garden that also allowed me to inspire many friends and neighbors to do the same. So cool what Alice built, right? And look at her beds. They are packed with plants. So don't plant too little, okay? I totally love having fresh greens to harvest every day. Read that again. I totally love having fresh greens to harvest every day. Her 103, this is me, my 103 soil mix really made a difference in my ability to grow everything I've planted. So you can see how she's really packing in the plants in those beds. So we've got ordinary gardening, which is hard on your plants. It's boring and it's not very productive. And then we've got gardenary gardening. And that is a mistake that you guys know how to avoid now. And we call this the MPP, all right? More plants, please. Can y'all put that in the chat? MPP, this is your new system for gardening, okay? Anytime you have trouble in the garden, you're gonna be like, Nicole told me, MPP, that's the answer. All right, the last mistake that we make that's so big is in the harvesting and the tending. What do you think is the biggest mistake I see people make with harvesting and tending? What do you think? Put it in the chat, what you think is the biggest mistake that people make. I see people make, I see my students and clients make. Too gentle, too early, not often enough, not doing it often enough, not pruning, harvesting too soon, overwatering. Okay, I like it, I like it. So how would you solve my garden problems here, all right? So this garden that we've put in a rush with not enough plants, how would you solve these problems we had in our first year? We had a lot of pests. We did not have very productive plants, and our garden was drying out all the time. It was the middle of summer and our garden was just completely dried out. So what would you do to take care of these problems? All right, I'm going to tell you the main mistake I see people make once they have their gardens planted, and this is they underestimate nature. Danielle says, hire me. They underestimate nature. All right. That's the main thing we were doing wrong here. We were underestimating what nature can do. All right. So I want you not to assume anymore that when you have a problem in the garden that you need more water. All right. That's rarely going to be what you need, is just more water. Sometimes, but most of the time, no, water is not always the answer to your problems. All right. I also want you not to assume you need fertilizer. I cannot tell you how many times people see my gardens or my clients' gardens and they say, what fertilizer do you use? And I'm like, we don't really use one. Why'd you ask? So why are they asking that? Why are they asking, what kind of fertilizer do you use? Why do you think they're asking that? Because they're underestimating nature, right? They think that plants can't grow big, and full without fertilizer. Crazy, right? The last one is don't assume that you need bug spray. Okay. The garden, if set up in a full ecosystem, will help you take care of itself. So there are ways to take care of your garden without using anything that kills stuff in your garden. All right. You don't always have to resort to outside powers. Nature is powerful. So everybody put that in the chat. Don't underestimate nature. Okay. And from now on, we're going to go share this with everybody. All right. So here is what ordinary gardening looks like. All right. Tell me what you guys see here. So let's talk about, this is what this, anybody kind of picture this in farming, right? So what's this person doing? She's either spraying water. We're going to say this isn't a she, this is a he. Okay. Does that sound good? Okay. All the guys that are hating on my TikTok right now, this is them. Okay. So they are spraying water, or they're spraying fertilizer, or they're spraying bug spray, right? What else do we have going on here? Well, the plants are very far apart from one another, right? They're all pretty far apart from one another. What else is going on in this picture? All the plants are kind of the same, right? We've got all these lettuces and all these cabbages, and they're all put right together, right? And he's walking on the soil. Thanks for calling that one out. So this is what ordinary gardening looks like. And you may have even tried this yourself. This is really what we tried with our first garden. But this is gardenary gardening. What do y'all think? Which one looks like it's more fun? Would y'all like to do this one or this one? I like the second. I don't know about you, but it's just a little bit more exciting to me. You know what I mean? So this is what I want your garden experience to look like. Okay. Lots of variety, tons of plants planted very closely together. And here are your two main jobs. Are you ready? Pruning and harvesting. That's your main jobs. Pruning and harvesting. All right. Put that in the chat. That's your two main jobs. Not doing this stuff. Okay. I don't want you walking around with some spray can. All right. Let that guy from TikTok do that. Okay. All right. So don't underestimate nature. I love this lady, Sarah. I mean, y'all have to read this. This is crazy, right? So she says, once the joy of my life, my raised bed traditional gardens had become a nightmare, and I was ready to give up gardening for good. Then I came across KGA. The training breathed life into my dying dreams, and I once again had hope that I could have a garden system that wouldn't require all my time. Y'all write that down. It doesn't require all your time. Now I have a gorgeous oasis that fills me with joy once again. I'm not exaggerating when I say KGA gave me my life back. Do y'all see the difference between these two setups, right? So over here was a rush setup. Over here was taking her time, doing the worst first. Over here, not enough plants. Over here, more plants, please, right? Over here, underestimating nature. Over here, letting nature do its work. Pretty awesome, right? This is Andrea. She says, our installation was 4/27/22. By May 1st, the beds were planted. In the end of May, we were harvesting cherry tomatoes. And by June 17th, we were harvesting black-eyed peas. They're already harvesting green beans and cucumbers in April of this year. What we learned about timing, planting, and maintaining from Nicole have made all the difference. So awesome, right? So instead of underestimating nature, we're going to work with nature. WWN, okay? Work with nature. So I want you to be focused on pruning and harvesting, right? So that is our job, not to fight against all the bugs and the water and the fertilizers, and instead to work with nature and not underestimate it. So here's why it's important that you avoid these three mistakes, okay? Number one, you lose money. If you rush the setup, you actually lose money. Number two, if you don't plant enough, you lose time. Every season that we don't plant enough plants, we miss the season. You can't get it back, right? The summer we're all about to get into, we can't get those 3 months back. So I don't want you to just plant 5 tomatoes this summer. Okay, everybody raise your hand. I will not plant just 5 tomatoes because you can't get the summer back. Summer of 2023 only comes once. So if you make that mistake, we can't go back in time, right? And the third reason to avoid these mistakes, especially with taking care of your garden, is you lose motivation. When you underestimate nature, you're going to lose the motivation to keep going. So this is Deborah. She's a Kitchen Garden Academy student. She said the placement, quality to plants, and the soil proved the decade of mistakes that I had made. She literally took the words out of my own presentation, I think. I wasted time and money on unproductive plants. In less than 6 weeks, I am harvesting food. Do you guys see her garden here? More plants, please. Hello, right? So that's what I want gardening to look like for you. It's what gardening looks like for me and my students. We invest time, okay? We invest our money at the beginning. We take whatever budget we have and we invest it. We take whatever time we have and we make the most of it. And then we get to keep our motivation, all right? So instead of losing time, losing money, and losing our motivation, we invest the time, invest the money, and then we get the motivation. So this is Ellen Ray. She is a Kitchen Garden Academy grad. She said the planning worked out so well that I was able to harvest and replant all year long. And keeping the garden full, all right, read that. Keeping the garden full meant I had no room for weeds. That's what we want here, guys, okay? No room for weeds. In this 6x6 garden at the base of my deck, I produced so many wonderful vegetables and herbs. I was pleasantly surprised with my winter crop. So this is the picture. You put all the work, you do the worst first. I'm going to help you at the beginning, and then you just prune and harvest and replant, prune and harvest and replant. That's the process rather than lots of frustration. So who is feeling like this? This is my youngest daughter, Elaine. This is when our kale really started coming in. She's 11 now, which is so hard to believe. I think she was 4 here. I said, Elaine, give me your most surprised face. And I think she did the job, right? So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or you're like, okay, that's cool. I know how to avoid these 3 mistakes. Now what? Well, I'm ready to tell you now what. I want to help you with every step of these 3 key things: building your garden, planting your garden, and harvesting from your garden. This is Grace. She lives in Hawaii, you guys, okay? Listen to this. She said, I lived in Hawaii all my life, and sadly, more than 80% of our food is imported to the islands. I was buying salad in grocery stores for $8, herbs for $5, peppers, eggplant, you name it, for £4 and up. So I chose the design. I signed up, chose the design, and followed her simple and easy instructions. And I never looked back. Even with limited resources here in Hawaii, I was able to create a successful kitchen garden of my own. Can y'all believe? Look how beautiful her kitchen garden is. So my system to build, to plant, and to harvest this way, avoiding all the mistakes that I experienced myself, are all inside Kitchen Garden Academy. And I'm so excited to tell you that I have just re-recorded and improved the course so much over the last few months and turned it into Kitchen Garden Academy 2.0. So I first recorded the course. All the graduates that you've seen today, they took the course that I created back in 2019. But since that time, I've learned so much about the ecosystem. I've learned about dealing with pests, and I've learned about sourcing materials for you guys to be able to build your gardens however you want to. And I've put those all into Kitchen Garden Academy 2.0. And today I get to welcome you guys to come and join this course. So this is 80 plus videos that bring you through the 3-part process to build, to plant, and to harvest from your own delicious and beautiful kitchen garden. So in the build process, you're going to learn from me how to design your garden, how to source all the things you need from your garden, and how to install your garden. I have videos on every single part of the process, and I show you how I install kitchen gardens too. In the planting process, The planting part, you're going to learn how to get the timing right wherever you live, how to categorize your plants, and then how to make planting plans. And then in the harvest section, we're going to teach you our tending, our work with nature system. We're going to teach you how to tend the garden, replant it, and then of course, eat from it so that you can go from the ordinary way of gardening to the gardenary way of gardening. So your membership in Kitchen Garden Academy includes all these things. We have so many things we've added to this course to ensure your success. No more mistakes. Remember, I told you that at the beginning. So your membership includes lifetime access to Kitchen Garden Academy 2.0. This is over $297 of value. These are over 80 videos shot by my new videographer, Molly, out here in my garden and in other clients' gardens over the last few months. But you don't just get that, you also get 6 weeks of support calls. So these calls are going to help answer your questions and help you troubleshoot anything that you face as you do the worst first. You know what I'm saying? As you do that setup of your garden. Beyond those calls, you also get an ebook and downloads that are going to guide you through each step of the process inside the course. Then we have 2 bonus courses that we are including just this time around. The first is my intensive planting course. So you guys know I like the more plants please system. Well, the intensive planting course brings you inside my garden and I show you exactly how I intensively plant up a kitchen garden season after season. Then we got to take care of the pests, right? But we're going to do it in an organic work with nature way. And we have a whole course called Organic Pest Control that's also included in your membership in Kitchen Garden Academy. And if you join while we're here today live during the Q&A, you're also going to get that Kitchen Garden Styles course that I mentioned at the very beginning, which gives you a full tour of over 40 kitchen gardens that I've created with my company. You're going to get to step inside those gardens, get inspiration for your own. And that's included if you sign up while we're here live. So there are over $900 worth of value in these courses, but I am not going to ask you for $900. In fact, you can get started with the entirety of Kitchen Garden Academy for just $119. This is a payment plan where you could pay over 3 months, $119 each month, and then you are done. But if you would like to do a pay in full, we have a special bonus for you, which is to send you a copy of my book, Kitchen Garden Revival. This is where a lot of my kitchen garden systems are included. And this is going to be a beautiful book you can go through as you're going through the Kitchen Garden Academy course. So this book will be sent to your doorstep for free as a gift if you decide to do the pay in full option for Kitchen Garden Academy. You'll also save a lot of money on your enrollment. It's only $297 for that one payment. The way to sign up is to use the link that Liz is putting in the chat, or you can go to kitchengardenacademy.com. What I'm going to do is answer your questions and give you some time to think about it. You can check out all of the testimonials at kitchengardenacademy.com. And I want to take your questions today about all the things we've talked about. First, I want to show you a few more before and afters. This is Kathleen Puccio. She's from Louisiana. She took Kitchen Garden Academy about 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. She said KGA is an incredible tool to equip you in a fun, engaging, helpful way to gain in practical knowledge in your garden. Having all these resources is such a pleasure to follow at your fingertips, is a total game changer. Do y'all love her bean TP in the middle? Her bean TP on the middle is so cool, right? Then this is another one. This is also from Leona. The amount of information in this program and classes is priceless. I was able to learn each step in a very understandable way and not have to go to multiple sources. So that is our goal, is that you get every single thing you need inside my Kitchen Garden Academy system. No more searching the web, no more having to figure out, where do I go for this answer? We're going to provide that for you in the live classes and through the course. Look at this garden that Adri built. Do you see all the plants filling up this bed? She said, I really benefited from the step-by-step video modules, and I gained a lot of confidence by following those guidelines. All right, so I want to take your questions all about what we talked about today. and making these 3 mistakes. And you guys have about 15 minutes to come and join us inside of Kitchen Garden Academy. Welcome, Kayla and Christy. We're so excited to have you. We're going to be starting Kitchen Garden Academy live next Wednesday. I'll be welcome you guys to a welcome class. And then you just get to watch the videos as you're ready and build your kitchen garden right alongside us. So one question we have here is, what do I do if I am in a colder climate? So raise your hand if you're in a colder climate. If you're like Wisconsin, Canada, Northeast, if you're, way up there. Okay, I see a bunch of you guys. So the great thing, Michigan, all right, Connecticut, New York State, yes. So a lot of people have this question. They often feel like it's too cold for them to really get their money's worth, right, of the garden. So let me tell you, I had to move to Chicago. I lived there for 4 years, from 2018 to 2022. And I came there from a warmer climate. And so I really wanted to garden as much as I can. And by the end of my time there, are you ready for this? Now, where I lived was 5A, zone 5A, okay? And I was gardening. I was putting in my first seeds in February, and I was harvesting my last harvest in December. So do the math there. That's February to December. Now, I didn't start harvesting till like the end of March or the beginning of April. But if you're watching and you think you do not have enough time for the garden in a colder climate, then you got to check out Kitchen Garden Academy, because I teach you how to understand your seasons in such a way that you're going to plant very early, and then you're going to get to harvest and use the garden all the way into the later part of the winter. Now, what if you're in a hot climate? Anybody here from a really hot climate? If you're in like Arizona or Texas or Florida? A little bit. Yeah, Caitlin's like, I'm opposite, hot. So the good news is I also lived in Houston. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Olivia. We're so glad you're here. Devil's Armpit here. Welcome, Shauna. So I was in Houston, maybe also known as the Devil's Armpit, and it was very, very warm there. I would say 9 months of summer. So what I learned when I gardened there is that you can absolutely garden through the hottest part of the year. You just have to put the right plants in each season. So you're also going to benefit from Kitchen Garden Academy, because I'm going to introduce you to all the seasons, how you can grow in the hot season as well as the cool season, right? So in Houston, in Arizona, in the Devil's Armpit, wherever you are, I'm going to teach you how to understand what plants go in the garden in that season. So you won't ever have to wonder, like, why is my tomato looking terrible? Or why is this not thriving? It's almost always because the timing wasn't right. So we'll teach you that inside Kitchen Garden Academy. So once you go to kitchengardenacademy.com, you just click there to sign up. Once you're signed up, we're going to send you an email confirmation. You're going to have your own password. It's very special. You'll have your own password and login. And as soon as you log in, you're going to get to see all the courses that we just talked about. So all of that is going to be right available in your email address that you use to sign up when you go to kitchengardenacademy.com. All right. Another question I've had is, I have no experience. Is this too soon? Did anybody ask that? Is it too soon to start Kitchen Garden Academy if I've never gardened before? So raise your hand if you're like, I'm not ready for this yet. Maybe a few people. Okay, so let me tell you, we talked about this at the beginning, right? If you start here, then you get to skip the mistakes, right? You get to skip all the grief, all the wasted seasons. So you're going to get such a thorough education on the garden. And you can start with a small garden. You don't have to start big, but start right? So you don't have to worry about what size you start with, but the Kitchen Garden Academy is going to help you start right. Welcome to the Academy, Kate and Christine. I can't wait to get to know you guys. So if you're just starting, don't feel intimidated. Actually, I would see this as doing it right the first time, rather than waiting many, many years to get it right later, like I did. You saw how it took me all the way from 2011 to 2017. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left. If you join within those 10 minutes, you're going to get my Kitchen Garden Styles course for free. And if you pay in full, you also get my book, Kitchen Garden Revival. How is this different from your books? I just saw that question from Vanessa. It's a great question. So I would compare it to, reading a book versus going to a class, right? So it's like if you're in college and you got your professor's book, it's kind of interesting, right? It's going to teach you a good bit of things, but it's going to be a different learning experience if you go into the classroom with her, right? And so it's the same kind of thing with my books to my courses. In the course, I am literally in the garden, like it is 3D, right? I've got 2 cameras on me. I'm showing you every single step of the process, whereas my book is just going to have a couple of paragraphs to describe that. So the book is like 240 pages, something like that. And then this course is 80 plus videos that are each, 8 to 10 to 15 minutes long. So it's really bringing you much more in depth in the process of all the things I teach in my book. So same kind of thing as learning to, learning from a professor from his book versus in a class. Okay, the next question I see is, what if I have a very small budget? Raise your hand if your budget feels a little small. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Laurie. So glad to have you. All right, so if your budget is small, then this is the tip I want to give to you, okay? Don't waste it, right? Don't waste it. That's number one. So don't buy cheap stuff and don't buy a lot of stuff. Buy a few things that are really nice. And that's what we're going to teach you how to do in Kitchen Garden Academy. I have an entire module where I go into a hardware store and I show you the things I would buy and the things I would not buy. Okay. So there's a whole module on sourcing your kitchen garden supplies where I literally walk you through the store and say, buy this, don't buy this, buy this, don't buy this. So if you have a smaller budget, you want to not waste it. And the other thing I want to encourage you to do is to spend it on the nicest thing you possibly can afford. So what I always try to do is not get a lot of stuff, not go big with it, but instead go small and make it very valuable. Then you can be like my sister, right? Who slowly built her wardrobe, and you can slowly build your garden with nice, valuable things over time. So you'll absolutely be able to use a smaller budget inside Kitchen Garden Academy. All right, the next is if you do not have a lot of time. So raise your hand if you're that 4-letter word busy. Anybody busy out there? I know I am. Yes, I see a bunch of you. So Kitchen Garden Academy was made for you. I am a mom of 4. I own a business. So my garden is my retreat. It's not the place that I work. So what you do need to set aside is probably one weekend. That weekend is going to give you the time to really set up your garden. But once you've done the worst part first, right? Once you've done the worst part first, then the rest is fun. Remember, I said never work a day in the garden again. So once you do that worst part first, then the rest of it is going to be fun. And Kitchen Garden Academy, you have lifetime access. So you can listen while you're driving, you can listen while you're working, you can listen while you're doing laundry, cooking dinner, working in the garden. It's meant for you to be able to enjoy it as you go. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Sarah. You guys have about 6 minutes left. You can check out kitchengardenacademy.com while we're answering questions. All right, let's see what else. So that's what I say about time. You have time to go through the course at your own pace. We will have the 6 weeks of live classes that you can rewatch or you can join us live for, but the rest of it is really made for the busy person. This is made for the person who can't necessarily go to a class on a weekend or can't go at night to a class. Someone who can do this all, on their own pace at their own time. Okay, let's see. Another question is, how long till I get my first harvest? So I would like to say that you want to plan on about 2 months from getting started, probably a little bit less than that. But when you sign up for Kitchen Garden Academy today, you want to think about 60 days from now, you're going to start harvesting from your kitchen garden. So everybody do that in your mind. Okay. What's today? Is May 11th, May 12th, something like that. All right. So let's fast forward about 2 months from today. When is that? Can y'all do the math for me? That's like June 15th, right? So June 15th, you can go ahead and mark it on your calendar. This is when you're going to start having your first harvest from your kitchen garden. So the best part about Kitchen Garden Academy is it is going to help you speed up the process. You don't have to go searching YouTube or Google or Pinterest or reading tons of blogs or following Instagram. You can literally just go step by step inside the course, follow along with it, and then you can be set up and harvesting in about 2 months. Crazy, right? I just went over to my neighbor's garden this morning. I'm going to show you, actually. I'm going to go get it. I just went over, Georgia, will you bring me those vases? I just went over to my neighbor's garden. You guys remember the one I just showed you? And I did a harvest, and y'all, this garden's only been in for about 6 weeks. So Georgia's going to bring and show me this. You ready? All right. So here's the cilantro. All right. This is from 3 plants. They've already been harvesting. Pretty awesome. The next is we've got some dill here. You guys see the dill? Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Jocelyn. We got some Swiss chard. We got a ton of kale. All right, so this is all from her garden that we planted about 6 weeks ago. And then we have a salad that I washed up for my neighbors. I did the hard work of washing it. And they have this big bag of salad too. So all this, and there's peas growing, there's tomatoes, there's peppers, all kinds of stuff like that in that garden in about 6 weeks. So I hope that encourages you. You don't have to wait forever to start harvesting. We're going to teach you. We have a whole video in the course on how to set up that garden, how to plant that garden, and then how to replant that garden. The exact 4x4 bed that I harvested those plants from this morning. All right, you have a few more minutes. I want to recap what we talked about today. And you have a few more minutes to join us and get the Kitchen Garden Styles course as a bonus. And we're also going to be giving away our copper plant tags. So everybody put in the chat what your aha moment was today, okay? Tell us what your aha moment was as we went through, and my team's going to pick 3 of you guys to share our copper plant tags to. So what was your aha moment? Something that you've never, ever thought of, or maybe you've heard before, but today it clicked. All right, intensive planting. I can do this. Don't underestimate nature. More plants, less weeds. To buy this course, says Jamie. I like that. Is organic. Okay. Buying quality, more plants, mixed plants, do the worst first. More plants, let nature be nature. I love it. About the fun. That's right. Plant more plants. I never thought about trusting nature. Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. Planting too little, trust nature, planting many plants. I thought it was bad. Yes. Quality over quantity. Yes. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Kathy. More plants. Don't be so rigid. Buying quality. I have an awesome garden, says Donna. Don't rush. That's right, Megan. What is the total price? So the total price of Kitchen Garden Academy is just $297 if you do the one pay. That includes my Kitchen Garden Revival book and all the bonuses, and Kitchen Garden Styles if you sign up while we're here. And then it can also be 3 payments of $119. But that's it. You pay that and you're done. No more payments, and you have lifetime access to Kitchen Garden Academy. All you have to do is click that link and sign up. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Donna. Glenda says it is so worth it. Thank you, Glenda. Lifetime access. Yes. So all you have to do is that one payment and you are good. Tara says, I can't wait to sign up. That's right. Vanessa says, do the hard work first, and then you won't have to do it, but just enjoy it. It's okay to be ordinary, but it's awesome to be gardenary. Okay, that I'm going to make that like my bumper sticker. I love that. You are hired as my new copywriter, okay? It's okay to be ordinary, but it's awesome to be gardenary. That's awesome, Yvette. I love it. All right, you guys have a few more seconds to join us. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Monica or Liz, will y'all text me the winner? All right, Elena Bates, Valerie Lasac, and Amanda Williams. You guys can email us at hello@gardenary.com. Congratulations. And welcome to all of you guys who are now part of Kitchen Garden Academy. You're going to love it. It's such a great investment and so worth your while. You saw all these transformations. If you guys had any trouble signing up while we were here live, then you can let me know. You can email us at hello@gardenary.com and my team will take care of you. You have a few more days to join us. If you missed it today, we are going to be closing enrollment for a good long while early next week so that we can all go through the course together. So I would love to welcome you. If you didn't join us while we were here live, you do have a few more days to think it over, talk about it with your partner, your friend, your sister, your brother, whoever wants to build this kitchen garden with you, and invite your friends. If you guys did join us, invite your friends and family to join us too, and then you guys can all go through the course together. Yes, a Mother's Day gift. Exactly, Michelle. I know I would have liked this for a Mother's Day gift when I had my rush garden. Let's see. Welcome to Kitchen Garden Academy, Joni, and welcome to the Academy, Danielle, I think, or Daniel. I can't wait to get to know all of you guys. We will have the welcome call next Wednesday. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and the center of my kitchen garden for spending this time with me today. It was a blast. Y'all were such an amazing group of people. Yvette just wrote my new bumper sticker. It's okay to be ordinary, but it's awesome to be gardenary. And y'all are the best. I love you, love you, love you. And I can't wait to get to know you in the days to come. Come over, check out kitchengardenacademy.com. It is not too late to join us. Spend a little time reading through our page, see all the amazing garden transformations that are there, and then come join me and make one of your own. Thank you guys again. Love